Nigeria. The giant of Africa. Maybe not yet. It's the 1920s, Nigeria is still under colonial rule. In southeastern Nigeria, in the Owerri province, on the morning of November 18, 1929, a man walks into the compound of Uwanirua in Iloko town. He's conducting a census on behalf of the colonial government. The warrant chief sent me to count everything in this compound. You should be ashamed of yourself, Emarua. Look, woman, I don't have time for your nonsense. Count your goats and sheep. How many are you in this compound? Was your widowed mother counted? Answer me. Woman, you have crossed the line. Why do you have to insult my mother? You will kill me today. This incident triggered the first of many protests that became known as the Aba Women's Riots of 1929. Under colonial rule, Nigeria, as a colony of the British Empire, was administered through indirect rule, a system where colonial powers governed through traditional rulers or chiefs. Here the traditional rulers acted as middlemen for the colonial officers. In the Igbo communities in the southeast, indirect rule was not working too well. As the traditional leader of the people, the colonial government is appointing you as our warrant chief. No, thanks. I'm not going to be your puppet. What about you, sycophantic man? Sure, of course, I'll love to be your warrant chief. Most of the Southeast practiced a decentralized and democratic system of governing, and were not happy with this imposition of chiefs on them. It didn't help that many of the warrant chiefs were corrupt and oppressive. They extorted people, seized properties, and even imprisoned people who dared to criticize them. In April 1928, more than a year before the riots, following a census and other year-long preparations, direct taxation was imposed on only men. Have you paid your tax this month? No. Where am I going to get £7? You are telling me. My wife had to contribute to the last payment. It's my mother that has been contributing to my tax. You know I'm not married. Why would the government think we can all afford £7? No one had inquired as to the ability of the men to pay the imposed tax. Mr. Archer, the officer who dealt with the counting of the Owerri people, dealt so harshly with the men that couldn't pay, that most of them ran into the bush. Meanwhile, the effect of the Great Depression reached Nigeria in late 1929, and resulted in the crash of prices of agricultural products in the colonies. This drastically affected the livelihood of traders, who were mostly women, and these women still had to help their men pay taxes. Then in October 1929, a colonial assistant district officer, who had just been posted to the Bende division of the southeastern region, decided that the information obtained for taxation wasn't comprehensive enough. Is this the list of everyone in this district? Yes, sir. This can't be right. I need more information for taxes and the official annual report. We are going to have another census. We should count the people again? Yes, and this time make sure to count the women, children, and livestock. This census led to the fight between Emarua and Uwanirua. After the fight, Uwanirua hurried to the marketplace to tell the other women about the incident. She met them already having a meeting on the same issue of taxation of women, and her story confirmed their fears. How are we going to pay tax? We depend on our husbands. We do not buy food or cloth ourselves. How shall we get money to pay tax? We have to protest. Yes, this is a direct attack on our survival. Starting from this meeting in Iloko town, the women began the crusade against taxing women. The Iloko women gathered nearly 10,000 women from the Bende district to protest at the office of the warrant chief of Iloko. This warrant chief was later arrested and sentenced for some of his misconduct. Thousands of women gathered at native administration centers in Bende, Harochukwu, Ikirtihkpene, Aba, Apobo, and several other districts in the Calabar and Owerri provinces. At least 25,000 women were involved in these protests, which lasted for 2 months. Although the protests were mostly peaceful, as they spread across the region, some protesters attacked native court buildings, released inmates from prisons, and ransacked factories. And the colonial authorities responded with force on several occasions. On the 16th of December at Igwanga and Akpobo, the district officer, A.R. Whitman, invited a few women to present their demands to him. As the news spread, more and more women showed up until there were thousands of them. The crowd brought down the fence surrounding the officer's house and surged towards the district officer, who panicked and ordered his soldiers to shoot. More than 30 women were killed at this one incident. In all, more than 50 women were killed and several more wounded when soldiers fired at the unarmed women during the Aba Women's Riots. By 10 January 1930, the authorities had quelled the revolts, and it was time for retribution. Several punishment inquiries were set up, and many of the leaders of the protests were arrested and detained. Despite this, the protests were not in vain. The colonial administration ditched the tax plans, some warrant chiefs were removed from their posts, and women were appointed as warrant chiefs. And women were also appointed to serve on the native courts. In addition, the appointment of native court members was subjected to a unanimous decision of the people at town meetings. Today, the Aba women's riots stand as a powerful symbol of resistance and women's empowerment in Nigeria.